Dear Michael, dear participants, I wish you a wonderful celebration, and it's also a great moment to look back a little bit and to look forward. So, Michael, our relationship goes back to, and that's just crazy, 2007. That's even before the book Business Model Generation. And I remember very concretely where I interviewed you for a blog that we had with a video all about how you applied the business model canvas and the work that we've done way before anybody else. You were among the very, very first consultants to use our work. So that was amazing. So that was before Business Model Generation again. Later on, we started working together. We did a couple of workshops. You brought me to Denmark. We did some stuff in the UK. And then you started working for some of our big clients. And you were always an extremely reliable person, reliable coach, and I appreciated that. But the thing I really remember most, small anecdote, which is very funny, is our ping pong game when we came back from a US trip that we did together. And after a red eye, while checking in the UK, we talked about ping pong. And the people there said, we have a ping pong table. So before even getting to our rooms, we went to play a ping pong match. And we had two people of the staff watching us because they were supposed to help us with the suitcases. And that was a very, very memorable moment. And we shall not talk about who won or lost that game. It was just an excellent little memory coming back from a business trip and really connecting on our friendship level at a completely different kind of, in an interesting environment. Now, I'm really grateful for the work that you've done for Strategyzer. You've been a really, really reliable coach working on clients that we can talk about like Merck, Bayer, and the top government agency, and many more. We can't unfortunately always mention the names. And once we started to productize our coaching, the innovation sprints, you became an advisor to the leaders of different companies that we worked with. I've always appreciated having you on some of our accounts because with all the work you've done, actually, the early career with SMEs, you've become, extremely knowledgeable about business models in general, and then with the tools, even better. Now, what I want to talk about, just very briefly, is the impressive shift that you're pulling off at the moment, from a really, really strong business coach, not just coach, but also applying this in boards, but shifting from a doer to a thought leader. And that's a very, very powerful combination because thought leaders who've really done it and see what actually matters, that is still something that's pretty rare. So when you started to talk to me about resilience, I was very curious, what you would come up with, because I know you really understand companies because you've worked with so many companies, in SMEs and large accounts, that I was curious what you're going to talk to me about. And it wasn't a surprise to me that what you came up with, this approach around resilience and revenues, is extremely powerful, extremely hands-on, and I think will make a pretty big difference for a lot of organizations and their leaderships around the world because it's so crucial. It's one of these business model patterns. How do you create recurring revenues that come in, and how do you focus on those rather than others, because not all revenues are the same. So I found that extremely refreshing, and it didn't come as a surprise to me, and I think that concept is going to have huge success around the world. So I'm very, very curious to watch your journey as a thought leader, and always happy to share some of the mistakes that I've done so you don't have to do the same. So last piece I want to just briefly touch on is the future of innovation, how I see it. Of course, a lot of that is a hypothesis, but I do think we've seen quite a lot with organizations around the world. In particular, since with Strategyzer, we pulling off this shift towards program licenses. Because of course, we can't just talk about business model innovation and not do it, shifting from a more service consulting-based model, even if we productize that, towards one with recurring revenues around program licenses, where we package everything we do in innovation so that it becomes more easily accessible to large companies and SMEs alike. And what we see is that in large companies, I think, we'll see a complete shift towards professionalization of innovation. Matters more today than ever before. We see more CEOs asking for results, for return on investment from their innovation investments. So I think, they're going to go faster with some of the help of Strategyzer also, I hope, with program licenses. They will be able to unlock innovation at scale because large companies, they do have assets, they do have smart people, they do have access to the market. What they don't have generally is a system with speed that allows anybody in an organization who wants to innovate to actually innovate. And that's something that they are really starting to try more seriously than ever before. That's what we see in large companies. So I do believe that those large companies that take innovation more seriously, they will unlock value like we've never seen before. And we've seen that with some large organizations like Amazon, they can do things that smaller companies just can't as easily. At the same time, what I found really amazing to see is when we launched our innovation programs, that small companies were knocking on our door because they wanted to innovate, but they also wanted access to the world's best tools and processes, just like a Nestle. But of course, in the right way for small organizations. So we've seen that hunger, and now we're really trying to serve that second market. Traditionally, we're more in the big companies, now in the small companies. And we're seeing that. And the one thing that I do believe small companies will always have as a competitive advantage over larger ones is the speed and the smaller distance between leadership and innovators. So I think we're going to see a lot of disruption coming out of the SME world. And here, I'm also super excited to continue the collaboration with you, Michael, because I know you know both worlds extremely well, and we're bringing innovation tools to both. Now, last piece when we're talking about the future innovation that we obviously can't ignore is artificial intelligence. We've been playing around with this with one of our advisors, Paris Thomas, good friend of ours, and Michael's group of advisors that we've been relying on for a long time. It's not even, close to what we're going to see today, what's going to happen with AI. And I'm not one to, like the hype around topics like this, but what we've seen already, is pretty crazy. It's going to compress the innovation cycle by a lot. While it might have taken, weeks to test certain concepts, I think in the morning we're going to shape some ideas, and then in the evening we will have, really strong first evidence to decide if we're going to continue or not. So it's going to compress the innovation cycle by a lot, and companies that don't know how to use AI, they just won't stay up to speed. Because I remember a conversation that I had with Steve Blank, our good friend who launched the whole lean startup movement. He says, what used to be kind of normal, that we say more disruptive innovation takes a couple of years and it's the efficiency innovation that will go fast. He already sees that going away, being at the heart of it, of the world's innovation in Silicon Valley. And I do think he's absolutely right. So we really need to get ready for this. That's on the one hand, the disruptive power and energy that the innovation process is going to bring us. On the other hand, it opens up a ton of opportunities. We're going to see companies, being able to do a lot more with a lot less. We're going to see smaller organizations, probably the first, unicorns with, a couple of people, maybe 10, 20, 30. That is definitely going to happen because there's so much that you can deliver with the help of AI at scale. So not clear how it's going to look like, but one thing is clear: if you're not trying these things out, here it's really about trying, you're probably going to fall behind. So don't want to end here, kind of with that negative note, because I do believe it's going to be a fun ride for innovation. We're going to see a lot more opportunities, and those who are willing to try out things, and those who are willing to adapt, and those who are putting in place the processes to take advantage of this, they will be at the forefront of all of this and be part of the winners. You probably don't need to master technology to be one of the winners, because more technology than ever before will be accessible. Just like we've seen with Amazon Web Services, where you can get access to the world's best infrastructure. Today, you have access to the world's best AI tools, as an individual. And that is just completely amazing, I'd say. So with that, I hope you have a great celebration. Michael, congratulations, really, for what you have achieved. And I'm really looking forward to your journey as a thought leader. And knowing that you have such an experience, I'm also very curious, how you're going to push the boundaries. Remember, you have a very good friend and business partner in Switzerland. I'm always here for you. And I wish you all a great celebration today.